Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to our ear infection workshop webinar. I'm not sure how you made your way here, but I'm so glad you did. I'm going to go out and make a pretty bold statement and say that you're probably searching for, and I hope we're going to provide, a potential end to ear infections without drugs and surgery. So before we get going here, I want to make sure you guys stay to the end. We got a free gift for you just for watching, complimentary. We'll show you how to get your free gift at the end just for hanging out with us, watching this webinar here whenever you are watching it at home. Before we get going also, I want to make sure we're stopping distractions. If you got Facebook open, your phone's dinging, all those kind of things, just make sure you try to limit the distractions. We're going to come pretty fast and furious with the information here. Want to make sure to give you the best chance to watch it, absorb it, and hopefully utilize those tools, tips, and strategies in your own life, and it will probably be a lot easier without all those distractions. But a little bit about me before we get going. My name is Dr. Jake Grinaker, and I am the founder and a chiropractor here at Strive Chiropractic in Fargo, North Dakota. Over the last 10 years, we have built a very, very large pediatric and family-based practice, helping kids and families just like yours with ear infections, colic, all those kind of things. And I hope we can provide some answers and shed some light on some of those things for you, so you can get some of those answers for yourself and for your own family. Last thing before we dive into the content, what I want to make sure, and I want to start tonight, or if you're watching this during the day, I guess, I want you to just start by imagining something for you. If you need to close your eyes, that's great, but I want you to imagine. Imagine your life and your child's life without ear infections. Close your eyes. Imagine. Imagine not waking up in the middle of the night with a screaming child. Imagine not spending about half your life in a pediatrician's waiting room. And imagine that they're not missing so much school, you're not missing so much work, and that your life could be totally different in that imagination, in that dream you're having right now. And I want that to resonate for a little bit. I want that to be the vision and the goal and the idea that we're setting towards as we continue on with this webinar. A little something before we start, last little thing here is that, as always, results are not guaranteed. We're not here to diagnose or provide medical information over a webinar. We're simply here to give you some information. This may or may not apply to your child or to you. What I can promise, though, is that I'll do the best job presenting it I can. I'm going to present on science, and I'll provide some of this research articles are the resources that you can use, not opinion, but I'll provide those to you as we go through. And if it is a chance that we can see and help you and your child, that we'll provide you with honest, caring answers and feedback on if we can help your child. So, as always, results are not guaranteed. So as we dive in, this is the part that I'm really getting excited for. As we dive into the content, I want to share with you 3 secrets. And those secrets are: your kids were designed to be able to heal, drain, and fight off ear infections on their own. Crazy, I know, but they were designed to be able to drain their own ears and fight off infection. Number 2, the reason your kids are getting those ear infections may be different than you think. And lastly, number 3, the potential answer is painless, it's fast, and affordable. So those are the 3 secrets. We're going to dive in a little heavier to those here. So number 1, the number 1 secret: your kids were born with the ability to drain their own ears and to fight infection. So for this one, I want to pull in a diagram. So if we're looking at this diagram together, I want to get you a little familiar with what you're looking at. As you can see, the outer ear, we got the eustachian tube, which drains that ear into the nasal pharynx, into the back of the nose, and then down into the throat. We got a whole bunch of muscles surrounding that tube that you're looking at as well. Now, I want you to realize that these little muscles in here, the tensor and the levators in there, those veli palatini muscles, don't worry, it's not a test. You don't have to answer these questions or spell it. But those surround that eustachian tube. And actually how they work is almost to milk it. Much like if you were to take a drink of water, you can still swallow water standing on your head because of the muscles in your throat that forces that fluid down. Those muscles work much the same way in your ears. That fluid in your ear is drained that way. The reason that kids get ear infections, yes, they're more prone to it, but it's not the reason they get infections, is because their ear canals are actually smaller. Yes, that makes them more prone, it yes, makes all those things, but that fluid should be milked down and brought into the nasopharynx and down into the throat, whether you're big or little or all of those kind of things, okay? These innervation for these nerves come right up in the upper cervical spine, that very top part of your neck. So again, those nerves aren't on this picture, but I want to just kind of familiarize with you. Those nerves, much like a nerve in your arm, how you tell it to flex and move and it'll move, innervation from the upper cervical spine autonomically will tell that ear to drain. So that's how the ear is supposed to drain, how it's all supposed to work, right? Maybe something a little bit new, maybe something new before, but that's how that ear is supposed to work. So that actually ties right in to our next point, which is the reason our kids get ear infections may be different than we think, right? Now I know it may be crazy to you, but the reason that we get ear infections or our kids get ear infections is not from an amoxicillin shortage, right? We don't have an imbalance of amoxicillin in our body, and that's why we're getting ear infections, right? Like we said right away, our body's designed to fight and heal those infections. So what happens? Now again, we're going to go to a few more slides so I can let you in on what we're looking at here. But what happens is stress. Those stresses can be physical, as in traumas, as in posture, computer driving. I'm talking about adults here, accidents, falls, those kind of things. But getting into kids, birth trauma is a massive, massive, massive physical trauma. I'll get to that more in detail in a second. We also going to have chemical stresses, which are toxins, processed foods, preservative, makeups, pesticides, cleaning chemicals, all of those things that we hear about every day. And emotional stress, or our thoughts, family, work, low self-esteem, schedules, those kind of things. Now, as an adult, a lot of times these things are micro traumas, meaning that they're accumulating up, right? But for a baby, for a kid, that massive birth trauma is all it takes sometimes to send them into a tailspin. Just so you know, the amount of pressure or force put on a baby's neck during a normal vaginal delivery is 50 pounds, maybe even up to 90 pounds of axial traction or pulling to get that baby out. And for those moms that have had a C-section, that number is actually a little bit higher. So if you can imagine me putting 50 to 60 to 80 to 90 pounds of weight around your baby's waist and pick him up by the head, you'd tackle me, which you should. But that is how babies brought into this world. And thank goodness they are the wonderful physicians and hospitals that bring them into this world. That is a great thing. But that's also where a lot of this trauma will happen to their upper cervical spine, and also between their shoulder blades and their thoracic spine as they're twisted to get them the rest of the way out. That's a lot of where that physical stress or trauma starts. So what happens is our body becomes overwhelmed by this and fails to adapt to these physical stresses. Now let's focus on kids specifically here, because we're talking about this ear infections, is that they fail to adapt to that physical trauma of being born and pulled out of the birth canal, or again, like a C-section. And what it causes is a fixation or misalignment in the spine. Now that is a crazy name called dyskinesia. Again, there's no test at the end of this. But it basically, the way I want you to think about it is it causes a fuse to blow. This blown fuse causes a massive imbalance in the nervous system. We refer to this as subluxation in the office. Again, there's no test, but if you hear me talk about subluxation through the rest of this thing, just think back to this blown fuse idea. This imbalance causes the central nervous system to go into fight or flight. Now I know probably you know a lot of what that fight or flight is, right? Whether being chased by a tiger, thank goodness will run or run away, right? But what that is in a neurological sense is it's sympathetic overload. It overwhelms that system. And this is called dysautonomia. And when that happens is that we get this sympathetic overload and the body goes into this fight or flight response. And the thing I want you to know about this is the body cannot be in growth and protection at the same time. So when your body's in this sympathetic overload, in this fight or flight response, the things that aren't working or that are shut off in your child's body is digestion, circulation, healing, those kind of things. And maybe not shut off, but drastically impinged or impeded upon in that system. This sympathetic overload leads to overstimulation and dysfunction of the body, which we a lot of times look at as symptoms. And if we focus on this, the symptoms in the upper cervical spine can often be a lot of different things, right? In a child, this leads to maybe some trouble sleeping. It leads to fatigue, colic, or we refer to as being really fussy or uncomfortable, those kind of things. But also goes in that ear, nose, and throat. If you remember back to that ear diagram, the innervation from that upper cervical spine goes into those little muscles that we were looking at, and into those things. And what happens is it causes a slowing down, a stopping, an impinging, an irritation, or an effect of the ears, nose, and throat in there, and it affects that drainage in there, or it can affect that drainage in there with that. Now, symptoms-wise is not something that we focus a ton on, especially when we're looking at it, because we're trying to look at function of the body, as well as these things aren't a one-to-one correlation. It doesn't mean that it has to be this way, or this is absolutely happening if you have that going on in your upper cervical spine, or vice versa. If you have that going, it doesn't necessarily mean that that's happening with you as well. But that's how this pathway will go in your system, and it leads to these type of symptoms that we have. So I want to apologize for getting so nerdy on you there, but what I hope it did is shed some light on some things for you, or at least make you think differently about what was going on in your child during these ear infections. So, which brings me to my third point, or the third secret we're going to look at, is that the potential answer is fast, painless, and affordable. So what I want to do is I want to ask you a question. Now, these things that you've learned over the last bit of time here, I know I came at you pretty fast with a lot of it, but maybe new to you, or the first time you heard it, or it could be something you've heard before but thought about a little bit different. But I want to imagine that if your child, if you could find out what was going on with your child, and if you could have a night of sleep for you and them where you weren't waking up 50 times and you weren't spending time in the pediatrician's office or missing work and school and all of those crazy things, if that wasn't you, would you be interested? Now, I know what you're probably thinking. Great, he's probably going to try to sell me something. And yes, I am. What I'm giving you is an opportunity. Now, if what you heard here sounds amazing and it sounds like something we can help with, great. We're here for you. And I'm going to show you that next. If not, no biggie. What I want to offer you today is this. If you are wondering, if you're sitting there thinking, yes, this is my child, yes, this is potentially what's going on, yes, we've tried everything and we're ready for something different, and you're wondering, this is what I want to offer you. Our first visit at Strive Chiropractic is just $79. It includes a complete, comprehensive consultation and a systems review with one of our doctors, an extensive chiropractic examination, detailed scans on our Insight scanner and your own core score. We'll get into that in more detail when you're in the office. And we have an on-site digital x-ray suite if we need it. Very rarely is that needed for children, but we do have it on-site if we needed it. We also have family plans too. So if you were listening to this and you're like, you know what? Yes, this is my child, but this is me, and this is affecting my symptoms and what I have going on with me, we schedule for yourself till we have some family plans available. The one caveat I want to get to is that information alone will not save you. You need to take action. What I mean by that is if you go through all this stuff and you're like, oh my gosh, this is my child, oh my gosh, this was such great information, and you just sit at home and yay, and it's great information, and we don't take that action step, information alone will not change. You need to take action. You need to comment below. You need to get a hold of us. You need to get that child in here so we get them checked out. And again, one more time, the first visit at Strive Chiropractic is just $79. It includes that comprehensive consultation and systems review with one of our doctors, the chiropractic examination, the detailed scans on our Insight scanner, and the core scoring, which we'll get to more in detail when you're here. X-rays if we need them, which we usually don't for a kid, and family plans are available. So if there's more than one kid that this applies to in your family, maybe you watching, it's for you or your spouse or significant other that this would apply to as well. Make sure you go ahead and get the whole family scheduled. We can see them all at the same time, and we do have family plans available. At the end of the day, there is just one thing that we can never get back, and that is time. I talk to parents every day where I wish I would have known this sooner. I wish I would have done something sooner. I wish I would have done this for my previous kids. And man, I wish I would have known this 3 years ago when I was going through this. Well, first of all, I don't let those parents beat themselves up because they did the best they could with the information they had, but now you are sitting here with different information. So don't let more time go by, because time is the one thing you can't get back. It was my absolute honor and pleasure to go through this information with you. If we can help you at all, please reach out and contact us, or we will send you some information on a way you can get into our office and get checked out. It would be our honor and pleasure to see you and your family. So please, if this applies, if this lit a spark in you, if this is something that, yes, I finally found something that can change me, please take action on this soon and do something about it. Thank you all so much for your time. Don't think I forgot about your free gift if that's what you're thinking, like, hey, wait a second, how'd you send? Below here is an email address. All you gotta do is type in that email address, send an email, in the subject line say ear infection workshop or ear infection webinar free gift. And what we have is we have some really cool Strive Chiropractic swag for you. We got some stainless steel water bottles. We got some Yeti style mugs, keeps things cold for like ridiculous amounts of time or hot. They're crazy awesome mugs, or ceramic coffee mugs. Just for watching, one of those is yours. So in the email somewhere, put which one of those you'd like. We'll email back to you. You can stop by our office in South Fargo location and pick it up anytime. And it's our gift for you just for watching tonight. So, or again, whenever you're watching this. I don't know. I'm doing this tonight, whenever you're watching it. But it's been my honor and pleasure. I hope I was able to present this information to you in a way that made sense. Make sure you check out striveimpactevents.com. Again, that's striveimpactevents.com for more webinars that are going to apply to you and your family and might help arm you with information that can change your future. It will also let you know about live events we have coming up. That you can attend in person to meet the doctors, get your questions answered, and make sure that we help you in any way we possibly can. So, for Dr. Jake Grinaker, that is me. I hope you enjoyed this information. I know I enjoyed presenting it to you. Reach out if we have any questions, and we can't wait to connect. Take care.